to make them leave his property. While he was inside, there were a whole world of options. In jury selection, I talked with each one of you about your personal protection and home safety plans. He had the same options available to him. Doors closed, doors locked. Stay inside, call the police. He didn't do any of those things. Instead, he went back outside with the machete, and he took the force that you saw here in this case. And because he went back outside when he shouldn't have, he's responsible for what occurred. He's responsible for the injury to Justin Riley. A little while ago, the judge read you the instruction of attempted premeditated murder. All that means is that he intended to kill Justin Riley with that machete, and he wasn't able to because Justin Riley lived. But when you take a machete and you swing it at the head of another person, that's clearly an intent, or that's a clear expression of your intent to kill. It's a dangerous weapon, it has that ability, and just because Justin Riley blocked with his arm is the only reason that he's still alive. In fact, that injury almost caused him to die as it was. When he went to the hospital, he needed 5 bags of blood, and the only reason that he didn't die was medical intervention. At that moment, after the swing of the machete, was a moment where this was over again. Both victims were fleeing into the night. This was over. The Greenlaws had won. It should have stopped there. It should have stopped right there at that moment. It never should have gotten there, but it definitely should have stopped. Everything was over and everyone was gone for 7 minutes. There were 7 minutes where nothing was happening in front of the Greenlaw house. In a second, I'm going to play for you the first few minutes of Nicole Robinson's 911 call, about 10 minutes worth. I don't want to waste your time, but I think it's important to listen to that 10 minutes again. Because now that you've heard all of the events, and now that you've heard from all the witnesses, you can put it into proper context, and you'll receive the play-by-play to see who had a weapon when, who had guns, when did people leave, when did people come back, what was the activity on the street, when were people armed. And as you listen to the tape, and you listen to Nicole Robinson's words as she's reporting it exactly when she sees it, remember those 4 questions. Was it reasonable? Was it necessary to preserve life? Would a reasonably incautious and prudent person have reacted the same way that these two did? Do the defendants have a reasonable fear of imminent death or great bodily harm? Or is it simply something that is a manifestation of their own minds? Is it simply that they had too much to drink? That they were angry? That they suffer from panic attacks and they weren't taking their medication? Was it something that was only real to them? Ask yourself those 4 questions, and each time you do, you'll answer that no, this wasn't necessary. It wasn't reasonable. A reasonable person wouldn't have done this. And they didn't have that necessary fear. There may have been some fear, but just a generalized fear does not permit you to pick up a weapon and use it against a fellow citizen. You have to have a fear of imminent death or great bodily harm. And so let's listen to this. Listen to when the victims fled after Justin Riley was hit with a machete. Listen to when Ray and Wayne Greenlaw came out of the front door with weapons. That they left the door wide open. That when they left the house to pursue these two down the street, that they left their mother inside. The very woman that they claimed to have been doing this to protect. They went out into the darkness, left the door open, and left her vulnerable to attack. Let's listen to that tape real quickly.
911, where's your emergency?
We're on Allen Street, Daytona Beach.
Right.
Sorry.
At what address?
I believe it might be 12. There's 4 men outside fighting.
At the street, you said?
Yes, ma'am, at Daytona Beach.
Is there another intersection or something? Because that's the
There's
other one.
Aspen and Roosevelt, off of 93 Roosevelt.
Oh, Aspen, I'm sorry, I was thinking Aspen. And it sounds like there's somebody fighting out there?
This time.
Oh, okay.
Shot in the air. I just watched a guy in a red shirt shoot something in the air.
Okay. And is he white, black,
Somebody
Hispanic?
yelling help. I believe they're white.
Get off that wall.
There's somebody yelling help.
Okay, listen to me. Did you see the person with the red shirt? Is he white, black, or Hispanic?
I believe he's white. I can't see very close. I'm looking out my bedroom window. Another gunshot. Another one.
Okay, I've got the call. They're on the way. Hold on.
Sorry, I'm looking from across the street. I turned down my dog. Now I've got a baby in the house.
Do you see any vehicles back there?
A white Jeep. That's what usually I would have.
Oh, that's Charlie, somebody. They're still too early for Delta shift. Charlie 30, or Delta 34 and Delta 33. Okay, I'm just gonna keep you on the phone, okay?
That's fine.
And you said, is their house at the corner there?
No, their house is on the corner. Their house, I don't think they're, I think.
Oh, they're over by the rounded part?
Yes. They're on the third house and on the left. No, right. They're like the fourth house and on the left. There's a light on. There's a car in the driveway with the lights on. There's another car in the yard. And a Jeep touches it. The man with his bat is walking back to the house.
Okay. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm just listening to the radio that's dispatching at the same time. What kind of vehicle is in the driveway? Did you
A
tell?
white Jeep, and it looks just like a burgundy car and it's in the yard.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't like gunfire. I have a
No, I totally
in the house.
understand. I totally understand. Hold on, because I think somebody else around the corner is calling in too.
Oh, good.
The call
I do.
is referencing anything, so don't worry about it. I'm sorry?
I said, good to know I'm not the only one that heard this.
Yeah, they're over on the Delia, so that's where they heard it from.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, my porch light is on at number 8 because my husband just left for work.
okay.
And then all this started, I thought I was hearing a TV somewhere. I said, what is this?
Okay. So you're at
It
8
was
Aspen?
yelling. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and their house is on the other side of the street, correct?
Yes, they're across the street, down, west. It would be west.
Uh,
I believe the numbers were weird.
yeah, they're on the odd side.
Yeah, they're not exactly, you know what I'm saying? They're kind of offset a little.
Okay. That's fine, don't go to that general area anyways. And none of the vehicles have left, correct?
No, there's still 2 men in the driveway.
Okay. Did you
The guy
have,
with the red shirt and that was shooting, it looked like a gun in the air, is still standing out there in the driveway.
and you saw him shoot it in the air, not necessarily at someone?
Correct. Maybe it was the one, I don't know.
That's okay.
And I'm looking across the street into the dark.
Right. And you can't tell if anybody was hurt because they were injured, right?
I cannot. It looked like I believe I saw somebody with a bat hit somebody else, and I heard somebody else got hurt.
Okay.
I believe is what I saw when I first called in. But there are no longer 4 men, there's only 2.
Right.
The guy with the red jacket just went in the house.
Okay.
There's still a guy in a white shirt standing out in the driveway. The other 2 people went west. It's the direction I saw them go. They kept going west. There were 4 total.
Okay, so you said they were going westbound? How many of them?
It looked like 2. There was a total of 4. Everybody was going in that direction, but 2 came back.
Okay.
After, like I said, that was after.
Hold on, John, you don't have to touch it. Select that vehicle. Hold on, man. Select the vehicle and tell them about that updated them, they know that they're all related.
SRF?
Yes. And all three call numbers at the same time. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
The deputies, unfortunately, were coming from the district, so it's gonna be just another minute or so before they get there.
Okay, well, everybody's going now.
Yeah, somebody else called from, Aspen. I think that's where the person that got shot is. He looks like he got shot in the arm, is what they're saying.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we're gonna have ambulance come out there as well. And what was your name again?
My name is Nicole.
Nicole.
I don't know who these people are.
Right.
All I can tell you is that was, and I didn't see him shoot out, I saw him shoot up. Because I saw the pistol go off.
Right.
I don't like the idea of them shooting back to my house.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, unfortunately, even the people that are coming on duty are coming from still 95 somewhere. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, did you send a message while we're taking it? Yeah, and sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh, man. And there's nobody outside the house anymore?
Now there's a guy in the gray shirt. He just walked out. His front door's standing wide open.
Yeah, one of the neighbors is, I guess, I'm not sure where he's calling
Hold
from.
on, Stealing, hold on. I can't hear what he's saying. I see a flashlight. Might be the police.
No, they're not there yet.
Okay. I'm seeing light. I'm afraid to go out there. I don't want to go out there.
No, you don't have to go out there, that's totally fine.
It looks like there's something going on up the street more, further west of me, but because of the way my house is, I can't see.
Mhm.
Oh, there's now a rifle.
Okay.
Yeah, there's now a rifle. There's a guy that just walked outside with a rifle.
Okay, what color shirt does he have on?
It looks dark. And gunshot.
Oh, they're shooting again, and there's a male with a dark shirt and has a rifle that's shooting.
Shooting, I just shot up in the air. It didn't look like he was shooting at anybody. I just stuck my gun out with a rifle. Oh my God. Get here?
Yeah, they're going as fast as they can.
Get here. Oh my God. I'm sorry. This is taking entirely too long. There's been way too many gunshots. Oh my God. I have a 4-month-old baby. Oh my God.
Stay inside.
Fire, man.
Just stay inside and go into like somewhere away from the windows and the doors. The deputies are on LPGA 92.
Oh my God.
I understand. They're right there at LPGA and International, okay?
Oh my God. Oh my God. I have a 4-month-old baby in this house. Please hurry.
Yes, they're on the way, Michelle. Nicole, they're right there at International and LPGA coming down to International now, okay?
Oh,
And there's plenty of deputies coming out there.
oh my God. It was constant, like rapid fire. Like he held it. Oh my God. I can't tell. Now there's somebody on a bicycle. Leaving.
What's
Walking a
happening?
bicycle. Yeah, he's walking a bicycle. I can't tell which.
Which way is he walking towards? Towards Roosevelt?
He's walking towards the street. Hold on, he has a left hand. Everything is happening west of this house, that this is all coming out of.
That's an awfully long time that these defendants had to make other choices. There were a lot of other options in their personal safety and home protection plan that they could have availed themselves of. None of that was reasonable. None of that was necessary to preserve life. Neither of them had a reasonable fear of imminent death or great bodily harm. And no one would have behaved the way that they did. There were several times when this was over. There were several times when this should have been over. There were 7 minutes. It was awkward for me to stand here and look at all of you for all of the
No
time.
objection, Your Honor, that's okay.
Sustained.
There were 7 minutes where the state was standing here and nothing was happening at that house. 7 minutes where the Greenlaws were inside arming themselves, talking with Scott Searles, and talking about how they were going to go out into the night and hunt their neighbors, that they were going to go kill these guys. Except when they talked with Scott Searles, they didn't use the word guys. The Greenlaw brothers made a conscious decision to kill Brian Leverett. This should have been over long before the confrontation at number 13. Unfortunately, because of the location of Nicole Robinson's house, we don't have a very good report of what occurred. But we don't need to look any further than common sense, the defendant's statements, and science to tell us what happened. According to Ray Greenlaw, the two brothers ordered Brian Leverett to freeze. They got armed, they walked all the way down the street, and they found Brian Leverett in the side yard of the house, where he was over here protecting his friend, making sure that his friend was getting safely into the home where he could get the medical treatment that he needed. Brian Leverett had a shotgun, and he was standing guard right here. According to everybody in the neighborhood, he never went beyond the driveway of number 13. Never crossed that barrier. The Greenlaw brothers came all the way out of their house and marched down the street to take care of the problem. A problem that they had created. You see, while the law doesn't require you, excuse me a second. The law doesn't require you to retreat, but it also doesn't permit you to attack. And if you've armed yourself with a weapon, the law demands that you do everything in your power to avoid conflict before using the weapon against another human being. That's what the reasonable force and self-defense instruction means. The judge read it to you. It appears 3 times in your packet. It is 3 pages or 4 pages long, and there are a couple passages in here which are important. It says that a person is justified in using deadly force if he reasonably believes that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. And then the next passages are the most important. If I found them, so can you. If you find that the defendants, who because of prior threats or difficulties had reasonable grounds to believe that they were in danger or great bodily harm at the hands of these victims, then the defendants have the right to arm themselves. Sounds right. However, the defendants cannot justify the use of deadly force if after arming themselves, they renew the difficulty with the victims when they could have avoided it. And it goes on to say that if they're in a place where they have a right to be, when they are attacked, they have no duty to retreat. They weren't in a place where they had the right to be. They weren't attacked. They walked down the street. They got their guns and they renewed their problem down the street. They're not allowed to do that. Further, the use of deadly force is not justifiable if you find that the defendants provoked the use of force against themselves. So if Brian Leverett got a gun because of what they did, then they don't get to stand on self-defense. In that circumstance where they've provoked this, the defendants are only entitled to use deadly force if the force asserted to them was so great that they reasonably believed that they were in imminent danger of death or great bodily harm, and had exhausted every reasonable means to escape the danger other than using deadly force on Brian Leverett. That's what the law requires. The law requires that if you're going to pick up a gun and use it against somebody, or pick up a weapon and use it on somebody, that you've exhausted all other reasonable means. You don't have to retreat, but you don't get to attack. And so when we look at what happened down there at number 13, when we look at the way that Brian Leverett died, what we hear from the defendants is this. They got their guns and they chased him down the street. According to Ray Greenlaw, they told him to freeze. They ordered him to freeze. And when he ran, they fired. Brian Leverett never fired that shotgun. Yeah, he died with it in his hands, but he never fired that shotgun. He didn't have any gunshot residue on his hands. There was no shell casing or wadding or impact marks from the pellets that were inside the shot. 3 crime scene investigators spent 11 hours each. 30 years of experience for every one of them. They saw the gun, they knew that it would be an issue, and they spent a combined total of 33 hours in this crime scene. No one found any evidence whatsoever that that gun had been fired. And when you add to it that there was dust in the barrel, you're all gun users. Most of you own firearms. You know what that means. When the dust is down the barrel of a shotgun, it means it wasn't recently fired. Science tells us these things. Common sense tells us these things. And if you aren't persuaded by that, then be persuaded by this. What's the most reasonable reconstruction of the event? That Brian Leverett stood out by the shotgun and fired it, stood out by the mailbox and fired at these two? Is that reasonable? That a seasoned, experienced hunter, standing in the darkness of night, pointing a flashlight and a shotgun directly at somebody, that he missed them? If Brian Leverett had fired that shotgun, there's a pretty good chance that one or both of them would be dead. And if Brian Leverett had fired that shotgun, do you think that either one of these two defendants would have let him run all the way back to the carport before firing their weapons? If he fired his gun right out here, then why isn't this car and this house covered in bullet holes and bullet strikes? Do you think they're going to let him continue to fire his weapon and just casually get on back to the carport? No. Now, there would have been a firefight all the way along that route, and that car would have been full of bullet holes, and that house would have had bullet strikes all over its eastern side. But that's not the evidence here, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the evidence, and you know why. Brian Leverett didn't discharge that firearm. What we found when we examined the carport was that it was full of bullet strikes and projectiles. And when we heard from the medical examiner, we heard that all of the injuries to Brian Leverett were consistent with a man who was running from his shooters. We heard that all of the injuries were to the side, and the injury that killed him was the one to the middle of his back. Ladies and gentlemen, these two brothers hunted Brian Leverett and killed him in cold blood. There is no better argument that Brian Leverett didn't fire his shotgun than the words of the two defendants. Neither one of them saw the gun, neither one of them heard the gun, neither one of them said it was discharged. Wayne Greenlaw said something about returning fire because of fireworks at a party, but he latched onto the investigators' statements. Neither one of these guys had any idea what happened that night. You saw their statements. You observed them at the time that this occurred. Think back about your own feelings that you had, that this was not reasonable.
No objection, Your Honor, that's improper.
Just a feeling is improper. The jury is instructed to disregard the reference to your feelings. This is to be based on facts, not feelings. You may continue, Mr. Bell.
Think back to your own reactions, that this was not reasonable, that this was not necessary, that a reasonable and prudent person wouldn't have done this, and that the two defendants were not afraid for their lives when they committed these acts. They fired 26 rounds into the carport of their neighbor and they killed Brian Leverett, and neither one of them were really even sure what they were firing at. This is a clear-cut case of first-degree murder, shooting into a building, and attempted first-degree murder. The facts have clearly shown that the defendants viciously and savagely attacked both Justin Riley and Brian Leverett, that they did so without reason and without significant provocation. The brothers were fueled by a deadly mixture of anger and alcohol. Their perception and judgment were significantly impaired, and their response to what most would categorize as a minor irritation, their response to it was violent and brutal. On October 29th, 2011, the Greenlaw brothers decided to take control of their neighborhood and to take justice into their own hands. Their senseless acts forever changed the lives of Brian Leverett and Justin Riley. And for that reason, I ask you to find them guilty of what they've done. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to take our mid-morning break, 20 minutes. I'll ask you to be back at 11:20. At this juncture, just want to remind you, this is also for the benefit of everyone in the audience, it's extremely important to not start discussing the case and that you have no contact with anyone other than yourselves at this point in time. So if any of the audience members attempt to approach you, to talk to you, or try to influence you in any way, please let Deputy Murchison know that so we can address that. Subject to all of my prior instructions on investigation, research, and communication, you may take a 20-minute break. Clear. Everyone may be seated. We're in recess until 11:20.
It's hard to bring it in, isn't it?